was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. It was not the Orlando, Florida that it is today. It was central to communities. You didn't stray outside your community and felt safe as a young African-American person at that time, very segregated, very prejudiced environment. But we felt happy and safe within our own community. I was very fortunate to have a set of parents that, in my opinion, were well beyond their time. My father grew up in Benton Harbor, Michigan. My mother grew up in Georgia, two very segregated and very prejudiced time during their time. But I was fortunate because my older brother, Al, and my younger sister, Kathy, and I were taught at a very early age in segregated and very prejudiced environment of Orlando, Florida, to always feel good about who you are. Always feel good to the fact that you are black, and at the time they called us Negroes. And so my parents said, be proud that you are a Negro, be proud of your heritage. And we were taught about where we came from at a very early age in terms of our family history, not necessarily going way back into history, but our immediate and past family, our relatives, those kinds of things. So we grew up in a family that taught us to respect others, even if they didn't respect you. And we were not on the same page. My brother and I especially were not on the same page with that, but we understood that when my parents said something, that's what you did, without question. But to go out and be called names and being pushed, and parents say, hey, be strong enough at that time. And that's why I was very fortunate to have parents, because I could have grown up very differently had I not had that structure, had I not had that guidance to look at my pigmentation and look in the mirror and say, I'm proud to be who I am.
I was born December the 6th in 1937 in a little town called Winfield, Kansas. Growing up in Winfield was a very unique experience. Part of the experience was that everybody knew you. When a child was being born in the community, everybody prepared for that new child, because most of the young people of my ethnicity were born at home. So you had midwives, and midwives would deliver these children, and people would come out on the porch and say, the baby's born. And so it was a celebration when this child came into the world. The house was unique because my dad bought it from a guy by the name of Leo Kemp, and he bought the home for $200. It was what you call a shotgun house, because it was, you go in the front door and you could roll a marble and they'd roll right out the back door. But all the additions were done by my father. My father was a very unique individual. He had a lot of skill. He used to describe himself as jack of all trades and master of none. My mother was a frustrated nurse. During that time, Negroes couldn't attend the local nursing school. So my mother had a book. It was called the Red Cross book. It was gray, and she actually wore the pages out. Every illness that happened in our community, my mother knew how to handle it. She was very, very talented, and it was the experience that she would have been a great nurse, because she was interested in that profession.
I grew up in the ghetto in Kansas City, Kansas. My father died when I was 5 years old. It was just Mom and my brother. And then we lived in a predominantly black neighborhood, the ghetto. And then back in the day, it was called urban renewal, where the city government would take over those communities and then move you to other communities. The textbooks called it a ghetto. I called it home. So, to me, it was just a community of people I loved and played with and interacted with. I didn't necessarily see the poverty. I did not necessarily see the crime. I did not necessarily see the violence. And even when I go back to my home community now, people say, "Are you afraid?" No, this was home. So I lived in that community and I breathed and felt that community, but I never saw the despair. I never saw the negative perceptions of what we understand the community to be. It was just a community where I had fun and we played. I just grew up with a lot of love and a very strong family. And I think when you have that foundation, the outside or the ghetto then really doesn't set precedents.
I'm Kathy Green, and I grew up in the borough of Queens, New York. Growing up, it was really a diverse community. It was predominantly Black community, but we had members of other ethnicities. We had Puerto Ricans, we had Caucasians, we had interracial families, and it was a very safe community, and the neighbors knew each other, and it was a fun community. Growing up, I went to school district number 36, and it was in walking distance. It was 7 blocks away, but my best friend across the street went to another public school because that was the dividing line. She went to public school 118. So I think New York was so big like that. I think that was an interesting point in my life. I usually was the youngest one on the block. Had good experiences. I learned a lot from my older friends. I learned how to count by playing the card game, War. You had to count out the cards. I had both my father and mother. I felt very lucky about that because I know some of my friends was not that lucky. My parents, they were good role models for me. My mother worked as on an assembly line. She worked for a toy company, the Ideal Toy Corporation. My father was a postman. And he worked downtown New York City. And Christmas time I loved. My father would get bonuses, and where he worked, he would deliver to these delicatessens, and he would come home with these beautiful hams to eat, and he always had a surprise for us. So my mother, of course, had special toys. So I looked forward to that and had really good experiences.
My name is Burl Schweitzer. I was born and raised in Nicodemus, Kansas. I've spent since 1950. I've spent most of my time not only just here at K-State, but out in western Kansas. We were taught to take care of ourselves, both physically and intellectually. And my mother spent a great deal of time with me because I was the last one in the family of 6 children. And so I had my mother and my dad, both out there in the same building, which made a big experience on me. Ironically, we didn't think about being poor because we had to live a life, we couldn't do anything about it. My mother spent most of her time trying to raise 6 children. My dad kind of gave her the thumbs up to take care of his children as well as my mother. So it was an experience. I enjoyed fishing, learned how to ride horses. And that was an experience that you had to be there to appreciate it.